I have a little girl, and this fucking part when I first played it, I've never had a video game put me in tears. Right?
You cried during the
And
video game.
that shit, when you hear Joel calling for Sarah and like her begging him to help, and him sitting there telling her, don't, like, it's okay, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. And it's like he knows it's not gonna be okay. He knows it's not gonna be okay.
He knows.
What?
Oh my God, are you crying again?
No.
No.
And fucking Tommy is like,
You're touching your eyes though.
no, I got something in my eyes. All right, well, welcome to another episode of the You Know Nothing podcast, where we react to some of the new and exciting shows and movies and pop culture and know pretty much nothing about what we're talking about. I'm your host, Ray, and here with me once again is my co-host, Michelle. And today we're going to be going over The Last of Us Season 1, Episode 1, the pilot. I forgot what's the name of it. It's called like When You're in the Darkness or something like that.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't pay attention to that.
Oh yeah, When You're Lost in the Darkness. So yeah, I'm really excited for today's podcast. I've been waiting to watch The Last of Us for a long time. Why don't we have a bit of I think we have a good dynamic on how we're going to talk about this, because I have played the game halfway so far. And
So
Michelle,
you know something.
I know a little something. I still know a lot of nothing. I think it's our podcast is going to be a little different than a lot of folks that are out there, because it seems like everyone has played this game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and like part of me is starting to be like, I'm just not going to finish it, right? Like, let me go into this blind like everyone else, because maybe that'll be a different experience or a different pod for us. But yeah, Michelle, you actually know nothing about this. Is it correct?
I know barely anything. When the game first came out, I think that I was with people that downloaded it or bought it if it was a game that you had to buy the disc for, if it was back then. And
2013, yeah, I think you still had to buy the discs.
They played the beginning of it, and that is all I saw. And all I recalled was that it was in the kid was the first person, and I recalled that it was very scary, but that's it. That's all. And I saw just the very beginning. I didn't even see anything really that we saw in this. So I know nothing.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
this is authentic.
Yeah,
this is a you know nothing pod.
Yeah, this one is going to be more authentic than some of the Game of Thrones stuff.
Yes.
All right, but before we get into it, I want to first thank everyone for watching us here on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff. And also want to thank our sponsor once again, Good Goods, the reuse company. So I want to just take a second and let's hear what they're about.
This show is made possible by the folks at Good Goods. Good Goods is on a mission to make reuse a thing again. They work with folks from around New York City to ensure that everything you buy comes in fully reusable packaging, whether it's groceries and household items, or even more boutique products like fresh cold pressed juice, cold brew coffee, or a variety of nut milks. Good Goods will ensure that all of its packaging gets reused. Visit their website, thegoodgoods.co, to learn more.
All right, we're back. So yeah, Michelle, let's get into it. Let's get into it. You're running this show.
Yeah, let's do it. When did you watch? Who'd you watch with? And I guess just initial reactions.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it last night with my wife and my daughter, who was watching her phone and headphones, so she wasn't really watching. Yeah, watched it last night. My beautiful little theater setup that I have down here. I want to say overall, like overall, first impression, as someone who has some knowledge of the game and has played it halfway through, it's hard. The game is hard. Let me just say that. And I'm not that great in games, but I absolutely loved it. I mean, the reviews that have been coming out are kind of spot on. Um, it's probably the best video game adaptation I've ever seen. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Though I can't wait to see more. We're gonna get into my usual nitpicks at the as we roll through it, because I did have some, but I thought the first 40 minutes, I would say the first 40 minutes of this thing was a fucking masterpiece. Like, paid homage to the source material, the game, expanded on it in places that I wanted them to. And Pedro Pascal is like, the dude's the best. Like, he embodies Joel. I loved it. I loved it a lot. What about you?
Did you set the mood with the lights off or anything to try to make it spooky?
I tried, but my daughter got scared. So
Oh, yeah.
So, Daddy,
Okay.
she said, Daddy, it's scary.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, Evie.
that exact face, like, Daddy, it's scary.
Oh,
It's like, oh, okay,
lights on.
lights are on.
So I watched it, what, 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago. I avoided social media so that it didn't get ruined for me. And I watched it just alone in my living room. And then my boyfriend came home and he was like, "Are you ready to watch Last of Us?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "What's that?" "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, like, let's watch it. Let's watch it." And he puts it on and I was like, I watched already. And it was good because I had to take notes for the pod, and so it was good to watch it twice. And you notice some things watching the second time, which I thought was cool. I'll bring a couple of those things up that I noticed and see if you notice them. I didn't set the mood. It was the middle of the day and it was really bright, which is good for me because I just watched Hereditary and that was a little spooky. So I'm a little good with spooky stuff for the time being. So I had to keep
I was in the mood all day. I watched Train to
lighter.
Busan right before, so I was in zombie mode.
Zombie mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my watching experience. I ate some popcorn, some skinny pop, which that set my mood.
That's cool.
Yeah. So we were introduced to some characters this episode. The first one we were introduced to was Sarah, Joel's daughter. It was set, the beginning of the episode was set from her perspective, and she's just a young, adorable student. I thought she was great. What do you think? I thought she really made you love her.
Yeah, I mean, it was part of the brilliance of the beginning. It's I mean, it's a little different. Like I said, I knew what was going to happen to her. So I didn't like emotionally attach myself to her. But yeah, they expanded on her. Hers was the story they expanded on a lot more.
Yeah.
You got to see her day. You got to see her in school. You got this like eerie feeling. You got to meet the neighbors next door.
Okay.
So like all of that stuff like that doesn't happen, right? Like the beginning of the video games is more about like teaching you how to play, right? Than like learning about different things. So
the whole time I was like, this is so stupid now in retrospect. I was like, so was making cookies like a side quest?
No, that wasn't part of the game.
No. I didn't know what was going to happen, so it forced me to fall in love with her. How rude. And but I was wondering the whole time, like, oh, youth in the apocalypse, that's always really tough. And when she hurt her ankle, I was like, oh God, she's not gonna be able to walk, and the zombies are gonna get her. I wonder how they're gonna fix that. And we all know what happened. So nope.
Yeah.
The next character we were introduced to was Joel, our protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Pedro Pascal, you talked about. I thought
Yep.
he was great too. He has a very flat affect.
Affect.
Yeah, like he's not very emotive.
Mm. Well, not
So
this Joel. So yeah.
yeah, I thought maybe that was on purpose because he's a military guy or
No, I
former.
don't. I don't know if they said that he's a military guy. His
Definitely his
brother,
brother.
his
Hmm.
brother, because they had the Desert Storm thing on the truck.
You don't think he is? I thought he was because in the house there's a picture with an American flag on it wrapped around it. I don't know if that's his brother
Yeah,
in the picture or if that's him in the picture.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, unclear. But he does have quite a flat affect. He's like a, a guy's guy, very, very manly.
Mm-hmm.
House builder, concrete
Construct. Yeah,
pourer,
he pours concrete.
and he's a very loving father. Single dad seems like.
Yeah,
And
they didn't get into the mom, into where the
mhm,
mom is. She's a black mom. That's different from in the show. He got himself a
yeah,
black.
he
Um,
does.
but yeah, and then we got Tommy, who we see Joel's brother.
Do we
Tess.
know it's Joel's brother? Because
Yeah.
it was
Yes.
Uncle Tommy. It's Joel's brother.
It's Joel's
Okay.
brother. Yeah, yeah. That's Joel's brother. And then Tess. Um, what's Tess? Tess is Joel's partner in
In present time.
the present time. That is his partner. It's more subtle in the game than they kind of make it really obvious with her climbing into bed.
Okay.
Um,
I
it's not
wasn't
as
sure.
yeah, it's not as obvious in the game that they were like together.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were seeing each other or if they were like business partners. I thought partner for sure, whether that was sexual or business, definitely
Yeah,
partners of some sort.
yeah.
When you
They made
climb
it
into bed
more, like
together.
I said, they made it more abstract in the video game where you kind
Okay.
of thought it, but you didn't think it. Here, it was just like I'm just gonna lay in bed with this dude. So.
I have a big question.
Mhm.
In the video game, is our man's also a baby spoon? Because he's a baby spoon in that which I love. I love being big spoon. So I was like, this could be my man.
I mean, I don't know. I think men generally like being the little spoon. I like
It
being
was
the little.
so sweet. I thought it was so cute. I was like, this is adorable. I'm obsessed.
Yeah, yeah. Pedro Pascal's a little spoon.
Yes. We and also in the present time we meet a young girl named Veronica, who we later find out is actually named Ellie.
Hmm.
You're gonna have to describe this because all I wrote was she's a young girl being smuggled because she's special. I was just
Ah,
in my head.
so you don't know.
I mean,
Did you
I'm
were you able to see
assuming
why she's special?
I'm assuming she's either immune or her blood holds the key to the cure because it's a zombie movie. So
Okay,
that was my guess.
so this was my. Remember, I said I was gonna start nitpicking a bit, and when I
Yes.
said like 3/4 of the episode was really good, and then I would
Yes.
say the last quarter. That last quarter with Ellie, I thought the exposition was like really clunky, and
Okay.
I didn't think it explained what was going on very well. Like
Hmm.
I felt like this episode was 2 episodes fucking sewn together,
Okay.
right? Like I thought they were gonna end it at, you know, I mean we're gonna recap it, but whatever. I did,
2002.
no, I thought they were gonna end it at with Sarah's death.
Okay.
I thought that was where the episode probably should have ended if I had to think about it. But yeah, the second part of it when they were explaining Ellie and what her deal was and why she's so special and stuff, I thought it was clunky. I didn't know if it came across well, and this is why I really wanted to ask you if you knew what the hell they were talking about because I know why she's special, right? Like I
Yeah.
But
oh my gosh, wait. Oh, are you going to tell me? Oh my gosh, I'm getting
no, I feel
spoiled.
like they should have told you. No. They
Okay.
did tell you in the episode. So in the episode at the end, when she gets the
Oh,
test, when she gets
yeah.
the test taken, she kind of in the background with Tess tells her, "Look, I got bit 3 weeks ago, and I'm still haven't turned." And now, if
Yeah.
you remember,
Yeah.
in that scene when we first go to the quarantine zone, it
Yeah.
tells you how long it takes to turn,
Yeah. I
depending on
know. I
where you're
wrote that
bit,
down.
right? So when Ellie says it's been 3 weeks since I've been bit and I still haven't turned, she's immune.
She's immune, but I was wondering, as someone who watches things with zombies in them, I thought she could also have a cure. So
Well,
I wasn't sure what it was.
well, yeah, I think it's both, right?
Okay.
She's immune, and the Fireflies want to take her to the lab to study her.
Okay.
That's why Marlene tells her that she's the key.
And that's who we also meet in this episode. We meet the
Yeah,
head of the Boston
Fireflies.
QZ quarantine zone, love, Fireflies.
Well, the
And she was
QZs are the bad
badass.
guys.
No, yeah. Well, QZ just means quarantine zone. But
Oh yeah,
they
oh
kept
yeah. The bad
they
guys are
kept
Fedra. The bad guys
yeah,
are called Fedra.
they kept saying QZ, and I was like, oh, I love the jargon. Um she was cool, and I thought it was awesome that she's from the video game. I think that's dope.
Oh, yeah. She plays the voice of Marlene in the video game,
That's
which she
really cool.
loves. If you watch any of the interviews, she loves to tell you that.
Oh, really? Is it annoying?
Yeah, it's so annoying. Like
She's an OG.
I watched a bunch of interviews, and it's like without anyone even asking her, she's like, "Well, I met Marlene back in 2013 and now I get
Yeah.
to embody her." And I'm like, "Dude, we get it. You were in
Says
the
the
game."
same thing.
Yeah,
She needs more talking points.
yeah. She says it in every interview. Like, we get it. Anyway,
Yeah. Should we get into the recap?
yeah, because I want to start. I can't wait for you to talk about my favorite part of the episode.
Okay, let's see what that was. So they kick us off in 1968 in a talk show. They're talking about viruses of some sort. It's just like two talking heads talking to a talk show host, and it's supposed to be he's just making jokes at them. They're talking about viruses that travel through coughing, and then this guy and the music changes. He's talking about spooky viruses that could infect people through fungus, then infect the mind and take over. They also say that fungus can evolve to be able to exist inside human bodies in warmer temperatures. I guess can't do that currently. This was obviously a nod to global warming. And was it in the game?
This was completely show only. I was completely taken aback by it because it started with something way out of left field, right?
Yeah.
Oh, your Uber Eats is here.
Yeah, I guess so.
So first off, what he's talking about, it's called the cordyceps fungus, right?
Yes.
And he talks about an example of the cordyceps fungus in ants. So this fungus is real, right?
Yeah.
Like you can go watch Planet Earth with David Attenborough, and he talks about these zombie ants. And when
this is Paris from Pokemon. No?
No, but kinda.
I thought it was.
He gives you the stun spore, and
that's his lore. His lore is that he's Paris the Pokemon is being taken over by mushrooms. That's what's on him. That's what's on his body.
But is it controlling his head?
Yeah.
Oh, well then yeah, Paris. Paris is what you call it. Is Paris is a zombie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought if there's a way to do exposition because you had to explain it and stuff.
Totally. You gotta.
The cordyceps thing is super scary, right? Because it's like, oh, this shit is real. And that the fungus can only live in temperatures under 94 degrees. And that nod to global warming was like, well, what if the earth got warmer and the fungus had to evolve to live in warmer climates? 98.6.
My question is in the So they don't give you a backstory in the video game at all. It's just
No,
fungus is just taking over.
no, in the video game, what you get is so like as you're like searching around, you start getting clues about this stuff. So it's like you can go through the whole game without knowing any of this.
So it's not a global warming game.
No, this has
Okay.
nothing to do about global warming. I mean, it's a nod to global warming. It's like global warming may be what allowed the fungus
Yeah.
to mutate and
Was
now
that
be
their
a
intention?
human. I think that was, yeah, that was definitely their intention.
Okay. All right. So
But yeah, so this is what I thought
you
this
appreciated
expedition
this.
was I spot on. It was like the best opening. Not to mention right after this, the credits. So like the first 10 minutes, you can just imagine me there, like hype. Like
Right.
they used the opening from the video game,
Okay.
the same person. It's the exact same opening, and then it kind of gives you like that Game of Thronesy
Oh
fungus
yeah.
spread, right? Did you see
Right.
that? And
Yeah.
with ending with Joel and Ellie um, as like fungus people. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't notice that. No.
Yeah, if you look at it towards the end, the fungus kind of grows into like two silhouettes, and it's Joel and Ellie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure people that play the video game appreciated that.
Yeah, so like within the first 10 minutes, I'm fucking hooked.
So again, I knew there was a kid in the movie and in the game, and I thought that was just Sarah the whole time. So this is how I'm going into this.
Yeah, so you
So
bugged out.
totally the whole time. So we get a time jump and it speeds up to 2003 where Sarah wakes up Joel on his birthday. Felt like there was a little role reversal in parenting. I felt like they really made us love her. It was very sweet. They had a very sweet relationship. We get some breaking news on the radio from Jakarta. None of the characters are listening to it and they're talking over it. And I'm sitting there trying to hear it. The only thing we hear in the background is they're telling citizens to leave a country, I guess Jakarta, as soon as possible. We don't get much. We're getting hints the whole time. Sarah heads to a clock shop after school. She goes to school. Did you think there was anything important to note from her at school?
Yeah, that kid who was coughing and his hand was shaking.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Okay, so she was at school. So they go through her day,
right?
and they're hinting the whole day.
The whole day there's hints. So like you get it. So like you see the helicopters, you're hearing sirens. The kid in class, his hand is shaking. At the clock shop with the lady, you get it when she goes meet Nana at the neighbor's house.
Yeah, of course. No, that was apparent.
Yeah. So then the other I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, something I noticed that's not related to the virus is in the morning when they're getting the fungus, the parasite. When they're eating breakfast together and it's time to go, Joel goes to look at his watch, but there's no watch on his hand because it's broken. So that was something I noticed when I was rewatching it. So this watch is very important to him, actually. But so Sarah heads to a clock shop after school. I guess as they're going through her day, they know we're seeing some hints throughout the day to get his watch fixed as a gift for him. The owner mentioned that lights and sirens have been going by all day. They rush to close up the shop. The wife kicks her out. They tell her to go home. Any other things you noticed before, during? Or you mentioned them already?
I think I mentioned them already, yeah.
Okay, so she heads to the neighbor's house to hang out with some elders. It's such a nice, kind neighbor. And there's...
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
There was something there's something I did see beforehand. Like before all this stuff happens, like before she goes to school or whatever. It's like you were talking about Joel and Sarah's relationship. Like I love the fact that like you saw how they were trying to like push each other off onto the neighbors.
Yes, that was so
like, oh yeah, my dad loves biscuits, and then she was
cute.
like, he was like, yeah, Sarah will come by and stay all night.
That was so cute. Yeah. And Uncle Tommy comes over for breakfast. We're introduced to Tommy.
And there was no
as his. No pancakes. He's the
Yeah,
brother.
who doesn't like pancakes?
I know, it is so weird. He's a savory guy. He liked eggs.
What's
There's
wrong with Joel? Who doesn't like pancakes?
he's grumpy.
Anyway.
He comes over. They seem to have a really close relationship. But so anyway, so after school she heads over to the neighbor's house to hang out with the elders. There's a woman who's in a wheelchair who's seemingly catatonic. She
Deaf.
Yeah, possibly deaf.
No, she is. What you call it? The lady says,
Yeah,
I
she
don't
said
even know why I'm talking to her. She's deaf.
she's deaf. Yeah. When Sarah starts looking at DVDs, she starts kind of twitching and opens her mouth really wide. And this is the first like blatantly obvious display that someone is very infected to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was spooked out a bit at this.
Did you notice the dog?
Yeah, the dog was barking at her. The dog knew.
The dog knew.
And then on the way out, military planes fly overhead. She's listening to the evening news. They're talking about violent incidences in the city of Dallas, and they blame street drugs. It's the drugs. So Uncle Tommy.
Mushrooms are a drug.
It is, yeah. It's mushrooms. It's psilocybin.
Yeah, that's crazy. Imagine one day you eat some mushrooms and then you turn into a fucking zombie.
It's bath salts.
Oh yeah, Florida.
So Uncle Tommy calls, and I keep calling him Uncle Tommy because to me he's Uncle Tommy. He calls. He says he ended up in jail because someone started acting crazy at a bar, I think.
Yeah, it was a bar fight.
And he
He's
went
probably
to
a zombie.
It was most likely zombies. He went to help a woman. It wasn't him. It's not his fault. But since it's Friday, you gotta avoid the bookings on Friday, because if you don't get bailed out, you're gonna be there the whole weekend. He lets Joel know. Amateur hour.
I, in my youth, got into a bar fight on a Friday and was there till fucking Monday.
Ouch.
Yes.
Oof.
So I when Tommy said that,
relatable.
It was relatable. And it was like unseasonably warm, right?
Oh.
When I went to the bar. So I only had like a little jacket. It became wintertime while I was in jail. And they don't give you any jackets.
So good thing you like being baby spoon, right?
Oh. Yeah. It was a great time.
It was a great time. Staying warm. You met your Uncle Tommy there.
Yeah.
So Joel tucks Sarah in and leaves to go bail Tommy out. It's 11 p.m. We had some time jumping, a lot of clocks in this. A lot of clocks, actually. Interesting. So at 2 a.m., Sarah wakes up to warlike noises. We're talking helicopters, booms. She looks for her dad, realizes he's missing. She turns on the TV. There's a national alert on the radio telling people to stay indoors. The dog next door bangs on their sliding door, and she goes out to see why he's avoiding the next door neighbor's house and to bring him back in. This is where it gets a little scary. The door opens and Sarah goes inside. This was not in the video game?
No. In the video game, well, first off, the neighbors aren't part of the video game.
Okay.
It's just like Joel is there. So Sarah wakes up at 2, 3 in the morning or whatever, and Joel rushes back. And next thing you know, you hear the dog barking, and the neighbor comes walking in. The neighbor is like infected and just runs into the house.
Okay. So
and then Joel shoots him.
As opposed to that, the door's open. She goes inside. There's noises in the house. This girl's Converse steps on blood. She finds Mr. Adler, which is the neighbor, bloody on the floor, asking her for help, which is so rude. He doesn't say run away. Frickin' grandma is eating Mrs. Adler alive. That's what it looks like. Mm-hmm. But no, they zoom in, and there is some kind of film.
They call them tendrils.
Tendrils. Yes, tendrils. tendrils sticking out of the grandma's mouth, and they're sucking blood out of her daughter's body. It was disgusting. And she's like, I went,
Clip that. I need to clip that. That's going to be the opening of the show. Just,
her head pops up, like super good jump scare, pops up and runs after Sarah. Sarah goes running, and this is where we learn that these are fast zombies. These aren't slow zombies, which is very important to me as someone who watches these. I'm always like, are they fast? Because now I'm scared. The grandma runs so fast at her, and Joel comes, drives his car coincidentally right at the right time, jumps out of the car and hits the grandma with a wrench. This seems to work as a murder option for zombies. So these are the things I'm noting. I'm like, are they fast zombies? Are they slow zombies? How do they die? So he hit her with a wrench. She seemed to die.
I think there's a discussion that needs to be had around what is a zombie.
Yes.
Right? Because I don't know if this classifies as a zombie. Not sure. Right? Because one, that they don't die first. Right? So they're not dead and come back to life.
Right.
And you don't necessarily need to hit them in the head for them to die. Like you don't have to
you don't have to kill their brains.
No, so these are definitely not like Walking Dead zombies.
So they're just the infected.
They're infected. However, the thing that gets me kind of
they're hosts.
Yeah, but the thing that kind of gets me is that they're also cannibalistic, right?
Yes.
So, because like it's spread through a bite, so that's a big zombie trope. So it's like part of me thinks they're not zombies, but then when you do the bite thing, it's like, all right, that's a big zombie trope. But they don't die first.
And
Yeah. I put it like this. I mean, I'm not gonna spoil it, but I think later on in the season we're gonna have a talk about like the nature of the zombies themselves. And I'm gonna keep calling them zombies.
You're gonna call them zombies. I mean, I prefer it's easier.
But it's weird. It's like you gotta figure out like what is a zombie? Maybe that's too philosophical for this, but you know.
And I'm always sitting there like, do we have zombie ignorance in this? Have these people heard of zombies? We'll see. They haven't called them zombies. They haven't called them anything. We'll probably call them whatever they call them when they name them. You want to know something?
I don't know if zombie movies exist in this world.
Exactly.
I don't know, and maybe it's because I haven't played and looked deep enough into it. But I don't know if zombies exist in this world. Not like The Walking Dead, where the word zombie never, there were no zombie movies in The Walking Dead universe.
Yeah, right. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the hosts, I'm gonna call them zombies. So zombie grandma is running at Sarah. Joel knocks her ass out. This kills her, and then they kind of peel out. This is a good introduction to the zombies.
Yeah. And notice I'm gonna bring up this point later in the when we get towards the end, but really pay attention to Sarah's reaction to Joel hitting the zombie lady who was trying to kill him, right? Like her reaction. She starts crying.
You killed her.
And she's like, you killed her. Yeah.
Yeah, she's sweet. She's adorable. Mm-hmm. They talked about that in the after credits. They talked about her as compared with Ellie too.
Oh, yeah.
Ellie's that's a tough girl. Yeah.
No,
they're very different.
How when Sarah sees murder, she's horrified, right?
Yeah. And Ellie's
Ellie sees it, she's like intrigued. Like you see her staring. She's like,
can you move over and punch him so I can over your shoulder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, do it again. Do it again.
Right. She was obsessed. So now we have a car ride. Looks like they're trying to get out of the city, which is, kind of very normal in zombie movies. movies and stuff. So we have some car conversations with Sarah, Tommy, and Joel. They're giving us, this is again where they're giving us clues as to what's going on. So a quote is, they're saying it's a virus, some kind of parasite, Tommy says. They blocked off the city because it's mostly happening in the city. And right now the family is just trying to drive out of town. We find out that Nana, which is the grandma, which is the older woman who attacked Sarah, was in the city for hospital appointments. So that's likely where she contracted the virus or parasite. And so Sarah is worried, do we have it? Why wouldn't we have it? And I think that's a good point, because I was wondering the same thing. She was very close to the grandma. She was also very close to her daughter, that the grandma's daughter, who could have contracted the virus, but I guess it only spreads through bites. And so
tendrils.
And
this is a big difference from the show and the game. In the game, the fungus is spread through spores, so it's
right.
It's like aerosolized. Here it's not. They changed it from the spores to the tendrils that was coming out of her mouth. So I think I think they did it so that people won't be asking these questions, right? Like,
because we're so smart now.
Yeah, like why wouldn't they get it? They were there. She got the Amazon box from this person. You know what I mean?
And we're all more savvy because of COVID. I think
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So so they're trying to.
They were in an enclosed space with no ventilation, and
exactly.
They gotten it.
Where was her KN95?
Yeah, she didn't have a KN95.
But this was a very important car ride.
Back then.
We got a lot of information.
There was Dr. Fauci back then. That man's old. Anyway,
there was, yeah. So we should have had a Dr. Fauci cameo. So. Sorry, there's some honking outside if you can hear that. But so Joel says they don't have it. We both know he's a concrete pourer, not a doctor, but Joel says they don't have it. So they don't have it. Mm-hmm. They're fleeing the city. There's a lot of traffic. Again, another really common zombie theme. And they decide to drive through a field. They drive through a field to a crowded street. And they're trying to avoid people. Tommy's trying to avoid people. Joel is like, just drive through them. He's so savage. He doesn't, though. Tommy doesn't. And then an airplane crashes very close to them. So they all pass out. We had a very typical, and tell me if that was in the video game. It was a very typical video game moment where everything blacks out. And then it lights back up, and we have a sort of like a change of scene. Was that from the game?
We're like shot for shot.
Okay, I like that. That's cool.
So except for the plane, there's no plane that crashes.
Oh, they just crash.
They get hit by something. They get hit by another car or another bus or something like that. But the way the camera moves inside the car, where you're only seeing things from Sarah's perspective, and like you can kind of see that things are going off in the sideline, but like she's not looking at it, and like how the camera is following her and turning, all of that is like shot for shot in the game.
That's cool. I like that. And it felt like I was watching someone play a video game.
Well, also when you play the video game, you first start playing as Sarah.
Right. I remember that. Yeah. That's the only thing I remember. So we wake up to Joel checking on Sarah. Tommy gets separated from Joel and Sarah. They agree to meet at a river. So we find out Sarah has an injury, and Joel starts carrying her. And this is where I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen to her. This is going to be rough. How is she going to get her injury healed? So he carries her into an area where there's a ton of people being fed on. One sees them, starts doing the head twitch. And I don't know. Then I'm wondering, can they hear? I guess they can't hear because the grandma was deaf, but maybe the tendrils can hear. But anyway, he sticks his head up. The tendrils are coming out of his mouth. Again, disgusting. And he runs after them really fast, very haphazardly. And they start running. They're diving around. It seems like they're caught, and the zombie is ready to go for them. But then a military officer of some sort shoots the zombie. And you think we're safe, right? Of course, right? They're going to get taken to a quarantine zone.
Okay.
No, he radios in to someone who's in charge. And I think the reason why he reacts this way is because Joel says Sarah has an ankle injury. So to give the guy the benefit of the doubt,
No way.
Ray's shaking his head no.
No.
So he radios in. He says he has 2 people. He goes and gets ready to shoot them, and he says sorry.
No, he's ordered to shoot them.
In order to shoot them, he says sorry. Joel starts kind of diving backwards. He shoots at them, and they roll away. So then the military guy goes in to shoot them point blank because he didn't get a good shot off them. And Tommy shoots the guy in the head. Great shot, clearly military. They pan back to our girl, Sarah, and she is shot in the stomach, which in a zombie movie is just like you know they're going to die. But I still had hope for some reason because, again, I thought she was going to survive because I thought the whole time this is a girl. The video game has a girl in it. He picks her up, and I'm like, he's going to pick her up. They're going to run to some quarantine zone. They're going to save her. And then she dies. It was so sad.
Yeah. So when I first played this, right, by now the however many people who listen to us, and I have a little girl, and this fucking part, when I first played it, I've never had a video game put me in tears. Right?
You cried during the video game.
That shit, when you hear Joel calling for Sarah and like her begging him to help, and him sitting there telling her, don't, like, it's okay, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. And it's like he knows it's not gonna be okay. He knows it's not gonna be okay.
He knows. Fuck. Oh my God, are you crying again?
No.
No.
And fucking Tommy is like,
you're touching your eyes though.
No, I got something in my eyes. But yeah, like, she's just crying for her father, and there's nothing he can do. And like, just when he starts telling her, like, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay, and it's like, it's not gonna be okay. Like, she's gonna fucking die. And like, Tommy is like looking at her, and like, you could tell. This is why I don't know if like maybe Tommy is military and Joel isn't, or whatever. But like, Tommy knows. Tommy knows. Tommy's seen this wound before. He knows what's about to happen. And is like, yo, Joel, it's over. It's done.
Does anyone have a tissue?
Pedro Pascal killed it, right?
He did.
If there was any part of the show that needed to go well, it was that part.
It was very important.
That was a very important scene that I was looking forward to, and was like, if they don't fucking hit this scene, this show is gonna suck. And
did you cry?
No, but I didn't, because I knew what was going to happen, so I didn't feel the shock as I did. It
reminded you, though.
It definitely reminded me. It definitely got me in the feels, and was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And this was like, and that's how I knew, because it was like, I knew it was coming, and it still made me have a reaction. So I love it. Yeah. I love it. This is why I said, listen, the first 3/4 of this show was a masterpiece.
It was amazing.
It's so beautifully shot. The CG was really good.
Yes.
If you notice, after they crash, the camera perspective changes. So like, if you notice, we're looking at the world through Sarah's eyes. So like, the camera's a little bit shorter.
Yes.
It's at a different point of view throughout the whole beginning of the thing. And then it's a very noticeable difference after the crash, because now we're playing as Joel, right? Mm-hmm. And that's like maybe an homage to the video game because you start as Sarah and then you play as Joel, and they did that with the camera. Like that was like amazing. Like that switching of
It was great.
of the perspective of the story. They went from
Mhm.
Sarah, and then as soon as he picked her up in the thing, it jumps to Joel's perspective.
Yes.
It was a masterfully done. I loved it. I love this whole
Yeah.
first section. And like I said, I thought when mapping it out in my head that this was going to be the end of the first episode.
Hmm.
So I was a little shocked that we had about 30 more minutes.
Yeah, I kept looking because I was curious how long this was going to go.
I
We had
didn't realize that it was a 90-minute episode. I didn't realize
right.
that.
It was
So
long. It was good though. It didn't feel long to me. So
it
we
didn't
had a time.
it didn't feel long. I just didn't realize. Like if you're only expecting an hour, then because I just didn't look at it. Like I didn't see that
Right.
it was an hour and a half.
Yeah. So as Ray alluded to, we had a time jump 20 years later. This brings.
This is so crazy. I'm sorry to interrupt you. 20. So if you think about it, what was the biggest criticism of House of the Dragon? You know?
No.
The time jumps.
The time jumps?
Everyone hated the time jumps on House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
And Last of Us in its first episode said, fuck
Time
you,
jump.
we're going to time jump 55 years.
Yeah.
From
Yeah, because
1968. So this show starts in 1968, and now we go to 2023. It's like, oh man, we time jump 55 years in one episode. That's insane.
But I think that's interesting because that's Joel's whole life, actually. Because he says when she asks him how old he is on his birthday, he's 36. So now he's 56.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal does not look 56 years old. I will fucking kill someone to look like Pedro Pascal at 56 years old.
He also doesn't look 36. I was like,
I wonder how old is he?
He's got to be in his 40s.
Yeah. Well, I pray to the God. I pray to the seven gods.
He looks great. Yeah. So we have a time jump 20 years. There's a child walking slowly down an overgrown street. So we're seeing that the world has changed. There's a helicopter overhead. We realize we're now set in Boston. The child heads to a military quarantine zone. They test him, give him a shot. I thought they let him in the zone. They do let him in the zone, but they let him in the zone because we see that there's a bunch of men or a bunch of people burning bodies in the quarantine zone. And this is where we meet Joel again. And he picks up the dead body of that child. So the child must have been positive for, what is it called? The
cordyceps.
The cordyceps, whatever it is.
Cordyceps.
I know nothing. So the parasite.
But you realize Tess first said she couldn't do it. So it kind of gives you.
Was that Tess?
Yeah, it gives you a sense, like right off the bat, how he just went from having his child like murdered in front of him to just taking a little kid and throwing him in the fire. Like that's how far Joel's come.
So many dead bodies into the fire.
Yeah, he is. Joel is is emotionally calloused.
Yeah.
Well, like
yes. That. Yeah. So they're burning bodies. We also see, after he finishes work, we see a public execution for folks who made unauthorized exits and entrances into the quarantine zone, the QZ. We have Joel selling hydrocodone to a soldier. So they're smuggling drugs in and out of the quarantine zone. Anything else you want to highlight from this part? It was just showing us the quarantine zone.
Yeah, showing us the zone. You start seeing, so you kind of get your first sense of what the world has become. Nature has taken over. Right. And what has happened is like they're now like pocket governments all across the country. And they're like occupied by a group called Fedra. I forgot, FDRA or something like that, Federal Disaster Relief, some shit like that.
Mhm.
And you see it's like martial law, right? It's like
Right. It's
they're
very it's very, very it's old school, you know?
yeah,
It's
it's like
archaic.
yeah. So like they give everybody they quarantined off the city, keep them free from the infected. However, like they do this with like very crude like tactics, right? Like um, with
Military government.
like it's a military style government. Yeah, you see
Yeah.
them. The people that they hung were charged with leaving the quarantine zone unauthorized,
Right.
right? So that's why they killed them publicly. Um, but yeah, so you just kind of see like this. It's a very hard world that Joel is now living in, and he is that much harder, right? Than
Yeah.
it was. He wasn't like the joking dad, not eating pancakes for some reason.
No.
But he's like, all right, he's throwing bodies in the thing. And remember when he was trying to look for work from the other guy? He didn't
Sewer
care.
work.
Yeah, he didn't care about cleaning shit. He was like, whatever pays more.
Right.
And we learned that the currency is these like ration cards.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway,
So we, Ray mentioned the military government. There's also a group of people called the Fireflies. This is what I felt about them. So tell me if I got this right. They're sort of rebels that believe in a free society, free from dictatorships, since the virus broke out. So they're
the
trying
fungus.
to. Mhm.
The fungus.
The fungus, yeah, the fungus virus. So we meet them because they're holding a girl who we learn is named Ellie, but she knows her name as Veronica hostage. They're taking her, they want to take her with them somewhere because she has a greater purpose, a quote unquote greater purpose.
Yeah. This is the part that I'm telling you starts getting clunky for me. Like,
Okay.
why? First off, you've been advertising Joel and Ellie like for months now. And so like what was the point of having this fake name? I
Right.
was like, what's the point of this? Like, why is there this name? It was kind of confusing.
Yeah, it
I
was
thought the
confusing.
I thought the exposition where Marlene was explaining what the fireflies are wasn't as clean as the exposition they gave earlier
Hmm.
in the um in the episode. Like when you're trying to explain the fungus, when you're trying to explain the relationship between Joel and his daughter and stuff, that stuff felt smooth. It didn't feel forced, right? Where you got in these scenes, you got Marlene saying, "Well, we are the Fireflies, and we want democracy to do X, Y, and Z." It
Yeah.
was just like, that's kind of
Yeah.
that was
The
kind of
intro
clunky.
Yeah, it was tough to follow. But I got there. So, and I knew nothing. It was it
Yeah,
was
I'm
it
just
was
saying it
okay.
wasn't. I'm saying that it wasn't like
As good.
it wasn't as good because it was like very direct, right? It wasn't subtle exposition,
Oh, yeah.
right? It was just like we're the Fireflies and we want to end dictatorships and make sure that we can bring democracy back to. Oh, and I'm just like, damn, you could have like just said that in another way, right? Like you
Mhm.
didn't have to spout the mission statement.
And it was kind of confusing that Marlene supposedly dropped Ellie off at the military school when she was a baby or a child.
All this
Why?
Ellie stuff and Veronica, like this Veronica Ellie stuff, is
Mhm.
new to the show.
Okay, so maybe they'll
Yeah,
show a flashback to Ellie's life or
yeah.
something like that.
I'm waiting to see if there's something more to this. Because as of right now, it's my least favorite part of the show.
Okay. So we do find out that the reason Joel's main storyline is that him and Tommy seem to be separated. Joel was trying to contact him through a radio operator. He's waiting for a message from Tommy. He hears nothing back from him. So he's looking for a battery to power his truck. Electric, I guess they have electric cars.
All cars have batteries.
Yeah. Oh, all cars. I didn't know that. Oh, no, I did know that.
All cars
That's
have
hilarious.
batteries.
Got it. So Joel, he's looking for a battery to use in the truck, and so he can get to Tommy.
You gotta remember, technology stops at 2003.
Yeah. Right.
So there's no Teslas.
So there's no Teslas. So no electric cars. So the person who was going to sell him the battery was actually also trying to sell it to the Fireflies. In the end, the battery was defective. So when Joel and his bae, what's her name again? Tess. When Joel and Tess go to find the battery, they kind of realize we both need the same battery, but the battery was defective anyway. So it was almost like they needed an excuse to find each other so that Marlene could ask Joel and Tess to take Ellie out of the quarantine zone. They're like, in exchange for whatever you want to need Tommy, they agree automatically.
What did you think about this?
I thought it was a bit rushed. But I thought that I don't know. I think as a viewer of not the video and not having the video game in the back of my head, felt a little rushed. And it also made me feel like Marlene was coming off less badass than I originally thought. What did you think?
So I got the exact same feeling. So this kind of plays out exactly the same way. Basically, Robert, but it's not a battery. So like Joel's whole thing isn't about going to find his brother. Like that's a show creation.
Right.
But it's guns. What happened is that basically they buy guns from Robert. Robert takes the money and sells the guns to someone else.
It's a Ponzi scheme.
It's exactly what he did. No, he takes the money, so he sells the guns to Tess, right? Or the battery in this case. He sells the battery to Tess, takes her money, but then also sells the battery to the Fireflies, right? Mm-hmm. But then realized that but in this case, the battery that he sold the Fireflies was defective. So that's why we come to meet Marlene, and there's like there's like a hallway shootout that we like missed.
Right.
Because they were fighting each other and Robert's dead.
And Marlene was shot. And so she needs Joel and Tess to bring Ellie.
Yeah. So in the this is where it kind of feels rushed, because in the game, it takes way longer to find Robert, right? Because like you're actually ducking and diving and shooting motherfuckers to try to get Robert. Tess is the one who kills Robert. Not him, not you showing up and Robert's already dead. Like Tess, he's like begging for his life, and Tess shoots him in the head in the game.
Oh, wow.
Then Marlene shows up and was like, I'm looking for Robert. And she's like, well, there he goes. He's dead. So,
that's actually really annoying, because then they make Tess less badass too.
Yeah. So they kind of made Tess less. I mean, they kind of made her. No. They made her less of like a psychopath murderer, like she kind of is in the game, but they made her as like this Joel whisperer, right? Where when she tells Robert, like, don't worry about Joel, I could control Joel.
Yeah. I'm the head.
And then when she goes when they go to the house, I'm like, listen, I told Robert you weren't gonna kill him, but I very much would like you to kill him. I was like, ooh, that gave me bad. So I don't know. I don't know if I agree that Tess wasn't a badass.
We'll see.
Maybe not a psychopathic murderer, but
I don't know. We'll see.
When she said that shit, I was like, ooh, she got this motherfucker. She was like,
so
I told him, but I very much would like you to kill him. That was scary.
That should be the intro.
Yeah.
That was yeah, it was a bit rushed, but they agree. They head back to Joel's apartment and just get ready to go. They talk about the radio a little bit, about the codes with the radio, and Ellie
Let me
was
get the
looking.
introduction. The introduction of Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
When they're standing there in the hallway and Ellie comes and tries to stab him with the knife. And
Yeah.
then Joel is like it's another piece where it just shows you how far Joel has come. Like he went from having his kid shot to throwing kids in cement and then like holding another kid at gunpoint. Like
Right.
this dude
Yeah.
has lost it. He's like, so yeah.
She did have a knife.
No, not anymore. He the knife was under his shoe.
Yeah, he was holding a gun to her head.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gave none. I thought
Yeah.
they were very similar. So that'll be interesting to see.
That will be interesting to see.
Yeah. But yeah, that was how they met. He slammed her against a wall and then held a gun to her head. Cute.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know. Like I said, I've only played through half the game, so I'm really not. I really don't know all the intricacies of their relationship. I'm about halfway through the game, and honestly, the way that this thing is flying, I'm probably going to need to start playing it ASAP because we're probably going to get to where I am like by episode 3.
Right. Yeah, because it's going quickly. So did you think there was anything important to talk about when they were at the house?
No, just the test was a Joel whisperer. You mean when Ellie and Joel?
And Joel.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was very clever how she figured it out.
Yeah, she figured out the radio code
what the 80s
very
music
quickly.
meant. Also, she points out that his watch is broken.
Yeah.
Just like I don't know. They put it like this. They did a really good job on creating this like dichotomy between Sarah and Ellie from the first half of the thing to the second half, where you got scenes of Sarah looking out the window. You had scenes of Sarah playing with a knife. You had scenes of them watching Joel kill. So if you like after me saying this, and if you were to watch it again, I bet you'll notice like how they played Sarah and Ellie. They like made these like mirroring scenes between them.
Yeah, well, since they mentioned that in the after credits, and so when I watched it the second time, I was noticing that. Like I noticed when Sarah picks up the knife, it seems like she's really fascinated by it, and Ellie is like, it's the first thing she goes for in her backpack. And they're both kids with backpacks, right? It's just they're so different, and they've lived 2 very different lives. But yeah, so they head out of the quarantine zone. They use the sewers to get out of the QZ, and they come across a guard who holds a gun to their head and attempts to arrest them.
Oh, this is the same guard that he was selling drugs to earlier.
Right.
I love that part.
He was not happy. You did.
You know what I love about that part? What does Joel do after he sells him the drugs?
What did he do? I'm trying to think.
What did he ask for back?
He asked for his plastic bag back.
Because he reuses, bro.
Oh, of course.
Joel reuses. Joel is about the reuse life. He shops at Good Goods.
Plastic is probably a huge commodity.
Yeah, because you can't just go like it's very subtle things that they showed in the show, but like you can't just go grab another plastic bag.
You can't get another Ziploc
bag. There's no Ziploc factory still making Ziploc bags.
Right.
Gotta reuse. So you gotta reuse.
So it was the same guard from the oxy or the hydrocodone deal. And so then Ellie freaking with her knife stabs the guy in the leg.
Because she
And
knows she's about to be tested, and she knows it's going to say it's positive.
oh,
That's why she stabs him.
interesting.
She's trying
So
to stab him before she gets tested. Because
she
yeah,
stabs him.
she doesn't
She
want Tess and Joel to know that she's positive.
so
Remember,
then
Marlene tells her to keep it secret. Sorry, I keep cutting
yeah.
you.
No, that's true. That's a good point. I didn't notice that. So she stabs him, and then he's holding the gun at them, and I guess Joel gets triggered from his past with Sarah, with Sarah getting killed by the military guy, and he goes off. He starts punching this guy. He punches him to death. And like we mentioned before, Ellie is just staring over his shoulder, like loving this.
She's intrigued.
And but he did actually test her. He got the test to her. Tess picks up the test and she seems to test positive. But Ellie says she doesn't have it. She shows them a wound and says it's 3 weeks old. And I guess they just kind of agree to deal with this later. And they run out of the quarantine zone.
Well, they're already outside of the quarantine zone, which we
right
saw
out
from
of the
earlier
gate.
is a capital punishment, right? Like
Oh,
they're already outside the quarantine zone, and he already knows
right.
that
You're
like
dead.
you're gonna die. Like if they bring you
Yeah,
back for
they
leaving the
gotta
place,
leave.
right? And so yeah, deal with this shit later because if we get caught,
Yeah.
we're gonna all die.
So as they're running out, the radio plays Depeche Mode, Never Let Me Down, which is 80s music. And so something bad happened. That's all we know because that was the code that Ellie noticed. 80s music meant something bad happened.
Yeah. So there are a few scenes that I've seen from the game that I was like, they need to nail this, or it's not like they need to nail these scenes.
Okay.
And in this episode, they're 1 for 2 because
What was the other one?
nailed the Sarah scene, and I thought the reveal that Ellie was immune, like, was kind of like a background thing, right? Like Joel doesn't know yet, or at least it doesn't seem like. You just kind of hear it, her telling it to Tess in the background. It was like in the game, it's like very obvious. She's like, "Yo, look at this. This is 3 weeks old." Like Joel is like, "What? This is crazy." She's fucking lying. Anyway, it's like it's a bigger moment in the game than it kind of felt like here. So I don't think they stuck that landing for the reveal.
Gymnastics.
Yeah, they didn't really stick the landing on this reveal. I thought it was like
no Simone Biles.
No. I mean, look, and this is why I asked you in the beginning of this discussion
if I knew what happened.
You had questions about what is up with Ellie, right?
Yeah.
And because they didn't stick that landing. They didn't stick the landing.
It's not super clear it's clear that she's immune. It's unclear to me if she's some sort of cure. That's all I'm wondering is, and partially because they don't know. But I hear you. It was a little confusing. It was not a big reveal. It was a subtle reveal.
So yeah, but like I said, the first 3/4 of this was masterfully done. The last of it kind of felt rushed, and the exposition was kind of bad, and the big reveal was kind of flopped. So that was a little bit disappointing. Like to walk away from it. Like I said, it felt like it was 2 episodes thrown together. And right before we got on, I actually listened to the official podcast from HBO. And that's hosted by the person who plays Joel in the video game.
Oh, cool.
And the 2 showrunners, Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin. Neil Druckmann is the writer of the game. And then Craig Mazin He actually directed Chernobyl. He was the showrunner
Okay.
for Chernobyl. Did you see Chernobyl?
I watched a couple episodes. Couldn't get
Chernobyl
into it.
is amazing, and the first scene makes you think of Chernobyl.
Okay.
That like talk show thing. But anyway, but they talked about how this was 2 episodes put together. So
Oh,
it
interesting.
was kind of my feelings about it were
Validated.
validated. Thanks.
Yeah.
Because yeah, that's what it was. Like they ended it at Joel throwing the kid in the thing, and that was the end of the first episode. And
Oh.
HBO actually told them, no, you need to introduce Ellie in the first episode because just leaving it there doesn't make me want to keep watching Joel.
Oh, interesting.
And I thought that was right. I thought that was right. Like them leaving it there probably wouldn't have been good. They probably should have left it at Sarah dying. Who am I? Right?
You know nothing.
Yeah, I don't know shit.
I liked it. I liked the episode. I'm intrigued about the zombies. In the preview for the next episode, they were showing some evolved parasites. I'll just call them zombies.
Yeah, I don't know if
mushroom heads.
We're gonna get into it. I don't know if you want me to get into it yet.
No, I don't want any spoilers.
Yeah, I don't know if they're not technically now spoilers. They've shown all of these zombies already in trailers.
I've only seen one trailer.
So I mean, look, the fact that you know that there's evolved zombies, that these things evolve,
that they evolve clear, and they did show a dead one, and it was stuck to the wall, just mushroom and dead body stuck to the wall.
That's its final form.
And it obviously doesn't transmit in that form because it can't bite. But
I don't know. Did they touch it? No.
No, they didn't touch it. I don't know. I would have thought that they maybe.
So in the game, those things release spores.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like those things connected to the wall, they release spores for you to get infected. But I guess here it's like, oh, if you don't touch it. I honestly think they changed it because, you know, if you're gonna, they didn't want to put Pedro Pascal in a mask again, like in the Mandalorian. Pedro Pascal was like, listen, I ain't fucking wearing another mask ever again. Like I'm already stuck with it in the Mandalorian. You're not putting this face behind a mask.
No, we need it.
Yeah,
we need to see his gorgeous face. But they do show in the next episode that it seems we're going to see different forms of this zombie. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to seeing Ellie's relationship with Joel evolve. I love her. I love that she curses as a New Yorker. I love it.
Curses a lot.
She said, F you, flipped off some of the fireflies. I thought that was really funny. I'm also curious if she's going to turn into like a rebel, like a Star Wars rebel. So that's kind of interesting. Like, is she going to be for the cause, or is she just going to be like this key? So I'm intrigued.
Okay. Do you have any questions that maybe I can answer?
I was curious if she was if she's going to cure it. But I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. I haven't played far enough into the game to know if she's a cure or not. I have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm only halfway through the first game. There's 2 games.
Okay.
So I don't know. But I do know, we all know now she's immune, right? Because this thing should have killed her in no more than 40. It's on her arm. So in her arm, according to the chart, that is 8 hours? Or something like that?
Yeah, it was. So we learned about the virus in this episode and the zombies is that it's called the cordyceps infection. The signs are coughing, slurred speech, muscle spasms, which is the head twitch, mood changes. They didn't talk about they say
wait till you hear I can't wait. This game is so scary. Like No, not even like. Wait till
There's
you see
another
some of
sound. Okay.
the evolved forms are so scary.
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
gonna see.
So it can take between 5 minutes and 24 hours until full infection, depending on where the infection happens. It seems like the closer to your head the infection happens, which makes sense if it's taking over your brain, the faster you get infected. So arm would have been, 8 hours.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
can test it with a scanner. You don't need to swab your nose.
that's good.
Zombies are fast. That we learned.
Well, these zombies are.
Right. The ones against the wall aren't fast.
No, they're
And
stationary.
we did see in the preview for the next episode, there's one with like a blinking eye that seems to be stuck in, which was creepy. So that one looked slow. Is that the noise they make?
Huh? What?
Oh, was that a spoiler?
No, I had some in my teeth.
Okay. All right. What else did we learn about the virus? That was everything it's not airborne. That was clear.
Yeah.
So that's what I learned. I'm sure everyone else listening knew that already. Or no, they didn't, because it was airborne in the video game.
It was airborne in the game.
So we are learning together.
Yeah. Look, I'm hopeful. And maybe some inside the episode stuff. Apparently, the person who directed the first episode was fired, and then Craig Mazin had to direct it. So, like, this was like the early turmoil, and from everyone who has there are people now who are like much bigger podcasters than us, of course, have already seen the whole season.
Oh, cool.
And they're saying that the first episode is the weakest.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. That's exciting.
So when I heard that today, that really made me like so excited that like, all right, people who know and understand good prestige television are saying that the first episode is the weakest. And I thought it was a pretty strong pilot. Like, it's no Game of Thrones pilot, but it's a really good pilot. Especially like 3/4 of it was a fucking masterpiece in my mind.
It wasn't scary though.
No, not yet. I mean,
but I mean, when we're
the grandma didn't scare you at all?
She freaked me out. She didn't scare me. But I think it was on purpose, because we were meant to fall in love with Sarah. And I think from Sarah's perspective, it's just not so scary.
I am not worried about this thing being scary.
Because it will be.
The game terrifies me. I don't like playing it.
That's so funny.
I don't like. It's like I have to play it now. Part of me thinks, should I play it? What do you think?
I think you should.
Like, can I just like? I'm starting to feel like I just want to go on this ride with you.
It's really fun. It's fun not knowing anything.
Yeah, I think I kind of just want to not know. Like, I've gone through probably half the season, right? So I'm probably gonna get through the first like maybe 3 to 5 episodes knowing what happens. But then I think I may just not continue playing it, just so I could just be watch the rest of the season like full on. Maybe that'll make me appreciate the last of the game even more.
Yeah, then you could go play it.
We'll see. We'll make that decision soon if I'm gonna keep playing it. It probably would be just determined by how much time I got, to be real.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. So I think that's good. You wanna wrap it up there?
Yeah, let's wrap it up. That was great.
All right. Well, I'm really excited for the next episode. I hope everyone else is. We're going to be covering The Last of Us every week from now until it ends. Quick show note, Michelle won't be with us next week because she's going to Hawaii.
Yes, I am.
So yeah, we'll see who's going to be the special guest for next week's episode, because I can't just sit here and talk on my own.
Maybe it'll be she'll just be like, that was scary.
Like, Daddy, that was scary. But yeah, let us know what you thought about it. Add it to the comments. I want to thank everyone again for listening. If you made it this far, I think you owe us a like at this point. Like, dude, we just gave you an hour of like entertainment. Hit the like button, subscribe, please. But yeah, so we'll see you next time. Enjoy your week and get ready for the Last of Us episode 2. Once again, thank you to Good Goods for helping make this possible. Reuse is a pretty good thing. So even Joel knows it. If Joel reuses, you can reuse, and you can reuse very easily by shopping at Good Goods.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Peace.
Peace.